welcome to this week's Scots Sports Show. I am Tyler Trumbauer. The men's and women's tennis teams are starting back up for the spring season after having a break in the action for the winter. I talked with head coach Lee Underwood earlier this week in Macomb Fieldhouse about the second half of the tennis season. Okay, Coach, so for the men's and women's teams for the fall portion of the season, both went 1-1 in the matches team-wise. What did you see from the fall portion that you worked on and honed in on in the really halftime of the season over the winter portion?
Well, we spent some time with some conditioning and in our individual instruction, small group instruction with that. We also we brought in some new players for the spring, so try to strengthen up some areas. I do a lot of international recruiting, so I tend to bring in some players in January every year. So.
Who were maybe some of those people, if you could kind of specify a little bit who you feel that you brought in that you're kind of excited about to start for the spring?
Well, on the women's side, brought in a girl from Serbia. Her name's Maria Tomuzic, and I think she's really going to help strengthen us up. We're going to be deeper in women's tennis than we have been since I've been here. She's her level of play is equal with my other top two girls, so that's going to make us stronger. We're going to be a little stronger overall, than we were last year. Primarily, we're hoping to try and make a run, get in the NCAA tournament this year with the women.
On the men's side, was there anybody you brought in, or what is the state of the men's roster right now?
Well, right now, first off, Daniel Fernandez Galamani, who was here in the fall, didn't get cleared in time to play matches. And there was a guy that is one of our better players. So we actually played the fall without him, even though he was here. Mm-hmm. And then I brought in a Brazilian, Vitor Albanese, that is one of my top players here. So we're going to be a lot stronger overall. I don't know how that's going to pan out, over the course of the year. I mean, I can guarantee you that all the other teams that we're playing are much stronger, and our opening match is going to be a test of what I think could be two of the best teams in our region in our first match. So,
for now upcoming in the spring here, what are some goals, some mindsets? This is, this is the true test. This is really the spring part of the season. You're going to have 90% of your schedules this time for the team aspect. Now you're focusing in on the PSACs, regionals, NCAAs, like you alluded to. So what is the mindset, goal set for the upcoming 2 months?
Well, it's pretty simple. We have primarily 3 or 4 goals for each program. Both goals have a goal of making a 3.0 as a student, and we're pretty good with that. We had over half our rosters, both the men and women, make the Scholar Academic Bank, which means they have cumulatives over 3.0, not just during that one semester. We also the other one is to make the PSAC tournament. And the girls have not made the PSAC tournament yet. The top 3 in the West make it, while the top 4 teams overall and the men make it. The men have made it from my second year on here. And we also have the men as another goal, which is beside making the PSAC tournament, is to win the PSAC tournament. And then finally, the goal is to make the NCAA tournament. And the guys have a little farther reaching goal right now. Since we made the round of 16 last year, we'd like to win the regional and get out to surprise Arizona in May. But it'll be tougher than it was last year, even though on paper we're probably a lot better. It will still be tougher to do that because other teams have gotten a lot better. So, but those are primarily the goals of both programs right there.
Now in the fall, the men were only scheduled to have a couple matches. The women were supposed to have a few more, but the weather didn't allow that. Do you not like having as many matches in the fall, or does that not really affect it because of the big lull in the season?
Well, whatever you play in the fall counts toward making the NCAAs and all the other stuff. It did knock off. There was about 3 matches that we did play in the fall that would all counted as regional matches. Doesn't look like we're going to be making any of those up, so that hurts. One of those teams that we didn't play, West Liberty, with women's tennis, has beaten perennial NCAA qualifier, and because we're not going to get to play them, that could come down the wire now. So as far as the law, yeah, there's a law in between, but both stages are very, very important. Obviously, the second part of the phase is more important because it's closer to the time frame. But if you don't do well in the first in the first phase of the season, it will directly impact how successful you can be overall. So
we talked about newcomers earlier on. Now some returners for the women's team, Aranzo, Julia, the two dominant ones that you're going to hopefully team with the new coming for the girl team. And then for the men's team, you have Matthias and you have others that have really stepped up. What would you like to see from them? Obviously, the continued success, but do you think they have any goals to try to improve their game to help the team?
Well, I think, on the women's side, I think, they're trying to get over the hump and make the NCAA tournament, and we try to instill that into them, that is our goal, that we're not trying to fall short of that goal. That being said, we're going to rely heavily on those people you just named in order to try and get us there. They're going to have good seasons. Both of them had great seasons last year, and we hope to continue that on. They've also got to set the tone for some of the younger people about what's acceptable and what's not. So we're looking for that on the women's side. On the men's side, I can tell you this much. The biggest thing right now is me trying to keep us, is trying to make sure everybody stays very humble. They're looking too far ahead. So I've tried to step back a little bit because obviously our next obstacle is West Liberty, which we're going to play on February, I think it's the 21st. Mm-hmm. And like I said, they are very, very good. If I was a betting man, I would not be betting anything because it's going to be a 50-50 match there. I think. Obviously, we're trying to improve in doubles. We felt like that was our suit last year, or our weak suit last year, and we're trying to improve on that. We've got better skill sets to make that happen. But unfortunately, none of our doubles partners will be the same this year as it was last year. So we're going to be getting used to new partners, and I hope the learning curve is going to be quick.
For you brought in some help in the lull of the season there with the assistant coach, Alex Bush, a Cleveland State graduate. What do you feel she's going to bring to the table? Why did you bring her aboard? And what do you think that's going to do for the tennis program here at Edinboro?
Well, we had our graduate assistant last year was Feiga Schmidt, and she came on board. And I was a little late with not knowing that she wasn't going to be able to she was going to try and get more experience in her field. So she took another GA position in school with the communications department. So I was a little late. So we went through the fall without an assistant. We tried to hire a few, but when I got Alex, one of the things that I like about Alex, she's a West Virginian just like myself. We know a lot of the same people. I remember her playing in high school. She graduated right when I came up here, so she went to Cleveland State like the first year that I went to Edinboro. So some of her teammates have played on my teams before. So what I like best about Alex is she's a very calm individual. I'm a lot more high strung, so I think it creates a great balance. Between the two of us in our approaches to what we're doing. So I'm really looking forward to be working with her this spring.
The men's team opens it up with a match against West Liberty at 7 p.m. on Saturday, while the women kick it off on the 27th of February against Lake Superior State. On the other side, we will talk wheelchair basketball with head coach Jim Glatch. Welcome back. Edinboro is one of few schools in the nation to have a wheelchair basketball team. The Fighting Scots season is wrapping up in a few weeks, but I caught up with head coach Jim Glatch earlier this week to discuss what has transpired so far this season and look at what is to come.
All right, Coach, so first time checking in with the wheelchair basketball team on the Scots Sports Show. Been a good portion of the season has already transpired, up and down so far this season. How do you feel this season has gone so far, the growth of the team, so forth?
I think it's been a great season for us. The last 3 seasons prior to this have been pretty rough. We were trying to run 2 programs at the same time, men's and women's team, and so the focus wasn't really on one team, it was on the 2. In that time period, we had 13 combined wins in 3 seasons. Already we have 12, so I think the progress and the numbers itself show. 4 of our players are doing great academically as well, so we know we have something to build for, and they're all starters, and 2 of them are up for All-American awards, 2 of them are up for academic All-American awards, 1's up for Freshman of the Year, so it's definitely a great nucleus.
So moving on more in personnel-wise, Blake Rush has been great so far. I mean, he's leading scorer on the season, had a great showing in multiple games this past weekend at the Illinois tournament. What have you seen from him? I mean, I'm sure you probably expected a little bit of that, but that much output from him?
You know, Blake is still a work in progress, and as well as he's done, we're looking for better days coming ahead. He's, you know, as a freshman, he's the candidate for the all-freshman team. The thing that Blake brings is a level of stability, even as an 18, 19-year-old. He comes in, he's very calm, he understands what I want done, and when he doesn't, he asks questions. He takes direction very well, and the biggest thing with Blake has been telling him to shoot the basketball. So we've worked with him to say, hey, your job isn't just to come in here and pass and look to get everybody else open. It's also to take your shot, and he's finally accepted that part of his role. Defensively, I think we still have a lot of work to do with Blake, but coming from the program he came from, it's not used to the man-to-man defense that we play. So that's still part of his growth, but I expect better things long-term for Blake.
Another person that had high hopes for in the beginning of the season was junior Derek Strickland, the captain. He doesn't always show up the big numbers in the box scores, but if you watch some clips, you see your games, he's always physical, and he's always facilitating the team and being really a captain. What have you seen from him this season?
Well, I think that Derek pulls it together. He's the glue. One of the things we push for is a good defensive squad first, and what he does is he's a deterrent in the paint. So it doesn't matter who we're playing, whether it be a college program or an adult program, they see Derek and it makes them change their mind on what they want to do. So defensively, as you point out, the offensive numbers don't seem like they're great, but the things that he does defensively is the catalyst to our success.
This season has been a lot better than recent years. Wins are showing it. I mean, just the overall play of your games are showing it. You have 12 wins thus far, as you said. 13 is the magic number this season, as that will match your collective numbers of wins for the last few years. What did you expect that kind of bounce back season this year? Or did you expect maybe a little bit more of a growing season?
You know, it's hard to tell. My first few years here, I would be a little over optimistic about how the season is going to go. And I remember talking to Coach Walkovich when he was still here about seasons, and I asked him one time, I said, what do you think the season is going to be like? He says, well, we'll just take it game by game. And so a few years ago, I started taking that same approach where we came into the season. Obviously, you have high hopes, but you know it's a young program. So you just kind of look at it from game to game, and the results are, I don't think, surprising, but they're very good. And we're very happy with what progress the freshmen have really made. I think if there's a surprise is how fast the freshmen have come along to be supportive of the upperclassmen already.
Going back to personnel a little bit, most teams, especially that have their seasons carry between semesters, add some new faces for the semester. We just heard earlier on the show that Coach Underwood's bringing in a few new individuals for the tennis team for the spring portion. Are there any players that you're bringing in that are some fresh faces for the second semester to help you finish out the season?
Yeah, we brought 3 ball players in. We brought David Hicks in from North Carolina. He's a big guy. He'll be Derek's backup. Already he's already given us some real quality minutes off the bench. He's had some pretty nice games. We played Indiana, Purdue, Fort Wayne. He gave us 10 points, 10 boards. It was a nice game for a first semester freshman to come in. Riddell King from Memphis, Tennessee has come in, and we kind of looked at him as a role player to just give our guards a little time off. He's still adjusting, but he played a lot of minutes this weekend, minutes that he hadn't seen all year. And then Shane Knox out of New York. And Shane has actually been forced to come in and play right away because of some eligibility issues from other players. Shane was forced into a role that he wasn't expecting, but he's done well. He had 20 points against Southwest Minnesota State, and it was fun to watch. Southwest just kept letting him shoot, and he didn't miss. So all three guys have produced, and they'll produce more by next year once they've had a full season under their belt. We're excited about those three guys.
One thing in wheelchair basketball is you play a lot of the same teams, especially when you go to these different tournaments, just because of the lack of teams that are around. So, like, for example, you faced Minnesota 3 times this season. They've had your number all 3 times. Do you see that more of an advantage or disadvantage, or does it kind of depend on the team? If they're a team you're going to win or a team you're going to lose to?
Well, Minnesota's actually been the team we've been beating. Illinois is the team that's had our number. And, yeah, I mean, there's an advantage because Minnesota's been closing the gap. We beat them by almost 30 points the first game. We just beat them by 9 this past weekend. So they've figured out some things with us. And we didn't have a great offensive game against them except for Shane. Illinois, we've played them 3 times, and the same thing. We lost by 20-some, and on Friday night we lost by only 8. And it was a great effort by the guys. Blake Brush, as you mentioned earlier, had a wonderful game, and Isaiah Moore came off the bench and gave us some great minutes. So, yes, there's definitely advantage, disadvantage, but you see the team so many times that you watch enough video, you see some tendencies. And the biggest thing as a coach you can do is try to maybe add a wrinkle here or there. But this late in the season, it's kind of tough to do. Yeah.
So, as you mentioned, late in the season, not too much left for the 2014-15 campaign. You're going to visit Pitt on Saturday,
Yes.
And then you're going to have the Carousel House Tournament later on, correct?
We changed
changed the schedule.
We changed we're going to Pittsburgh Saturday.
Okay.
We play at noon and 2 at Louise Thelma YMCA Center. It's in the Hill District of Pittsburgh. It's a beautiful facility. We expect to do very well. We played them earlier in the year. We beat them by 15 and 12 in Edinboro. So we're looking to have a good day.
Yeah.
But we changed the schedule because the Carousel House Tournament changed the weekend. They changed the weekend to the weekend we normally play nationals. So now we're going back up to Canada for 2 games with the Canadian Academy. And actually, I think it works better to what we're getting prepared for because the final weekend, or the first weekend of March, which is our final weekend of the season, is nationals. And we will see a combination of very fast teams that will press us, but potentially, depending on where we fall out, we could see very slow teams like Minnesota again. And that's where Pittsburgh will help us, is with the slow teams, because they're a slow down team. They're going to be patient, use the full shot clock. Defensively, they're going to be in the zone, which is what we saw with Minnesota. We'll probably open the national tournament with Illinois, who will press us for 40 minutes, as they always do. That's what's going to happen in Canada. We're going to see a team that's going to come out that's made of 8 national team members of the Canadian national team. They're going to press us for 40 minutes. So if we can break that press, that's a great preparation for our first games at nationals.
Schedule-wise, scouting-wise, it looks like you got it all mapped out for the last few weeks here. What would you like to see from your team in these last few weeks? How are they going to respond to Pitt, to the Canadian teams, to get themselves ready for the national tournament?
Well, I think the biggest thing at this point in the year is not thinking but reacting. And we talked about that this morning in practice, is they're at a point defensively where they're reacting. They're communicating, they're really doing a nice job, and that led to some of our success this weekend. But offensively, they're still thinking, and they're not into a rhythm that I'd like. So that's what I'm hoping to get out of these last 4 games, the 2 in Pittsburgh and the 2 in Canada, is a rhythm on the offensive end that is a reactionary one, where they know where they need to be, and they make the reads in a timely manner so that we can be successful.
All righty, Coach. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
The team visits Pittsburgh on Saturday and competes in the Carousel House Tournament before the national tournament early next month. We're going to take a break, and when we return, we have this week's Scots of the Week and the upcoming schedule of events. Congratulations to Vic Avery and Brianne Dietrich for being named this week's male and female Scots of the Week. Avery won a 4-1 upset decision over 10th-ranked Kenny Courts of Ohio State in Sunday's match, and Dietrich was a member of the indoor track and field team's distance medley relay that set a new school record over the weekend at one of the 2 Grand Valley State Big Meets that occurred on Friday or Saturday. Now let's take a look at the upcoming schedule of events for Edinboro Athletics. The swim teams, as we talked about in last week's show, have the PSAC Championships Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Wrestling, season finale at West Virginia on Friday night. Indoor track and field is at the Kent State Open on Saturday. Wheelchair basketball team is at Pittsburgh on Saturday. Tennis opens, which we previewed. They have West Liberty up in Erie. And as we continue on, as we change the calendar to next week, we have basketball has their regular season finale Wednesday, Pitt Johnstown, 5:30 and 7:30 starts for the ladies and the men. Try to go out and support the Edinboro University student athletes. That's all for this week. Be sure to tune in next week and go Boro.